My trip began very early in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I took Delta Airlines to the beautiful sub-Saharan Africa. My trip began in the southwest part of South Africa, also known as Cape Town. This is an overview shot I got of the beautiful Cape Town. Once we got to Cape Town, we took a trip to the Castle of Good Hope. While there, I learned that the Castle of Good Hope was built in the 17th century between 1666 and 1679 by the East India Company. In the Castle of Good Hope, we took a trip to Camps Bay. This is the overview shot of the city and beach we visited while there. After we finished in Camps Bay, we headed over to Table Mountain. This is an overview shot that I got while there. We took an aerial cable up, and I took this picture on the road right before we got on the aerial cable. After we finished at Table Mountain, we decided to take a trip to Bow Cow. This is an area of Cape Town which is formerly known as the Malay Quarter, and this was Whale Street. We sadly had to leave Cape Town and went to Botswana to visit the Kalahari Desert. We visited the Galagadi Transfrontier Park, where there's geography of patches of high grasses and some trees. It is very arid there with some rainfall and small patches of sand. We also saw medium-sized antelopes that are known as the springbok. While there, we learned that the springboks were a sole member of the genus Antidorcus. We also saw another animal called the gemsbok, which is a large antelope. We learned that the gemsbok was in the Oryx genus. After we finished in the Galagadi Transfrontier Park, we headed northeast to the Chobe National Park. When there, I finally got to take this savanna I've always wanted to go on and saw 6 different famous animals. Rhinos are the first famous animal we saw in Chobe. They are the largest land mammal in Africa and one of the most in danger of extinction, being under extreme threat from poaching. The second famous animal we saw was the lion. They dropped by 90% since the 1960s, and most were males, but they were still a cornerstone in the safari. The third famous animal we saw was the African elephant. They're part of most good safaris and are generally quite easy found in most quality safaris. The fourth famous animals we saw were cheetahs. They are the third largest cat in Africa after lions and leopards. They are by far the fastest land mammals in the world. Leopards are the fifth famous animal we saw. They are the least threatened of the 3 large feline predators in Africa. They range widely across sub-Saharan Africa. The final animal we saw were African wild dogs. They are amongst the top predators in Africa and both awesome killing machines and wonderful sociable creatures. After we finished at Chobe National Park, we headed over to Victoria Falls because it was so close. Victoria Falls flows into the Zambezi River to northwestern Zambia to the Indian Ocean. While in Victoria Falls, we went to the Devil's Pool and we went on the Sunset Cruise. Then, since I was so eager to see more of the stunning African rainforest ecosystem, we headed up the Zambezi River through Malawi, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, and Uganda. We decided to visit Chobe National Park. While there, we saw lots of wildlife, but mostly chimpanzees. And we also learned that the park was gazetted in 1932 and formally established in 1993 to protect a large area of forest previously managed as a logged forest reserve. Then I traveled to Nairobi, Kenya. The wealth in Nairobi is focusing on most of the course of growing their wealth, and general wealth transfer, taxation, and the global economy are their main issues. There's also some poverty where 4 million people are living in grinding poverty of the huge overcrowded urban slums on the brink of a massive food crisis. I then did something very dangerous and headed to Mogadishu, Somalia. I found few tourist attractions such as Lido Beach. Although we got out of there quickly because the U.S. Department of State warns U.S. citizens to avoid travel to Somalia because of widespread terrorist and criminal activity. I then headed far west to Timbuktu to find some priceless historical architecture. It was so cool there. Here are some of the amazing pictures that I took. While there, I visited the Jingorber Mosque. Sadly, that ended my trip. I started in Cape Town, then went to the Kalahari Desert. Then I went to Chobe National Park, and since I was so close, visited Victoria Falls. Then I headed up past Malawi, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda to Uganda to visit Kabale. Then I went to Nairobi and then Mogadishu. Then I headed far, far west to Timbuktu. Then sadly, my vacation ended and I had to go back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.